TG Geeks, episode 75, May 30th, 2016. Vampires and Comic-Con? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in almost to be hot Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, did we ever have a spring? Phoenix, Arizona.
No, I don't think we did.
I don't think so either.
I know last week we announced that we were going to have Russ Emanuel on the show this time. But we had another interview that came up, and we're going to release this interview, but then we also have the Russ Emanuel interview that we're going to record a little bit later today.
Yeah.
But we're going to release that actually with our review of his film, Occupants, and we're going to release that either Wednesday or Thursday, the day of the premiere of the film. So we haven't decided what day we're going to release that, but we have a really exciting interview for you, so we're going to do that right now. And this week we are very excited to have with us Monica Demis, a Brazilian filmmaker, and the release of her new film next Saturday. It's called Lilith's Awakening. Welcome, Monica, to the show.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh,
it's
our pleasure. Our pleasure, believe me.
Absolutely. And you're in Los Angeles right now, is that correct?
Yes.
And that is that where you're living now, or is that just for the release of the film?
No, I've been living here for 3 months, and I'm going to stay here until the end of December.
Oh, wow. That's a nice long time in Los Angeles. That's very good. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about who is Monica Demis and how did you get into filmmaking?
Wow. I used to study law before, but when I was in law school, I was already shooting short films with my classmates and working in the newspaper, the art newspaper of the building. And I was always with that in my mind. But then I come from a very traditional family, so they don't think art is a real job. So sometimes when you're too young, you're still attached to those things. But thankfully, I was lucky enough to believe in my dreams and give up law and change to film school, and I'm really happy about it.
Well, that's wonderful. It's kind of interesting how our parents can influence what we do with our lives, isn't it?
I know.
and their traditional thinking.
The good thing about those days is that when I launched the crowdfunding for this film, which is the first feature film that I'm directing, the guys who put more money in that crowdfund are my law school's classmates.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wonderful.
Absolutely. That's absolutely wonderful. So tell us a little bit more about Lilith's Awakening, because we understand there's some very interesting things about it, and specifically David Lynch.
Lilith's Awakening is about Lucy. It's about a woman who works in a gas station, and she connects with her dark side and embraces her wildest fantasy. That's the logline of the film.
Right.
The connection with David comes through a short film competition that MUM University did. It's called Maharishi University of Management. And it's an university that connects transcendental meditation with creativity.
Wow.
That's a first.
Yeah, I think it's the only one. Maharishi was the guru of the Beatles.
Right.
So he went from California to the middle of the country, the Midwest, and put his university there. And David Lynch practices TM. So he decided to make his first master there and they launched a short film competition. And I was lucky enough to be in Brazil at the time in a lunch with another television producers who also practiced TM, Transcendental Meditation. And they sent me a link of the short film competition. And it was like one day after they gave me the link, it was over.
Wow.
You know? So I was thinking, wow, what can I send? I don't have time to shoot anything. So I remembered that I had a short animation film that I have done like 3 years before in Spain. And it was only 4 minutes. Like the maximum length that you could submit something was 5 minutes at the time. So I said, wow, I have this one thing, but it's an animation. So I don't know if they're going to like it. Oh, but I'll send it anyway and see what happens. So I sent that animation, and 2 weeks after, I'm in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and then the phone rings, just like in David Lynch movies. I grab the phone, and they're speaking in English on the other side, and they say, Monica, your film was selected between the 6 best short films that we received, and we are going to send it to Mr. Lynch, and he's going to watch it. We don't know when, because he's really busy, but we will come back to you like in some weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, David Lynch is gonna watch my short film.
Wow.
So he watched it. They phoned me some weeks later, and they said I got second place in the short film competition, and they were giving me an award of $5,000 to go shoot something in Iowa.
Wow. That's incredible.
When they gave me that award, I had just opened a film company in Brazil, and I was finishing a documentary between Spain and Brazil about mediumship. And I talked to my partner, and he said, Monica, maybe this could be a good opportunity for you to shoot your first feature there. Did they say you can shoot a feature? I said, they said I can shoot anything I want. So we decided to get all the money we had put into this and shoot the first film there.
Far out. That's really exciting.
I'm okay. So, regarding Lilith's Awakening itself, where did the story is very interesting. Where did you come up with that?
This was the first time I was using this kind of technique to write. It's connected to transcendental meditation and to the techniques they use at MUM. It's kind of like that. You meditate. I was locked in a room for 3 days meditating. And from the darkness, like you have your eyes closed and you're going to think about a scene. So I wrote the scene down. And after you write the scene is when you think about what's the scene about. So it's a reversed process. Mm-hmm. It's not like you come from the intellect and you say, I'm going to write about that. No, that's the usual thing that you do. But this was reversed, like, I'm going to do this shamanic experience, I'm going to connect with something, and it's going to come from the darkness. So the first scene I wrote was the scene in the car where Art sees the woman walking on the street. And after I wrote it, I said, why did I write this scene? What is it about? And then I realized it was like I was fed up with seeing films where women are raped. And usually the horror films about that is like a woman is raped and she goes nuts and everything is destroyed in her life. So I said, what if something really bad happens with the guy who is trying to rape her?
Right. You turned it on its head.
And that's how the film came up. The other thing I did is like you use that with 2 scenes. One scene I wrote like that. The other scene was, what do I have in my heart? So I wanted to write a story about a forbidden love story. And that's when the other scene inside a car comes with the same character, Art. So connecting those 2 scenes when Art is with Lucy in the car, having the forbidden love scene, and the scene where Art meets the woman on the street, the whole screenplay was written.
So that's pretty much where you got the idea that you had a vampire story that you were going to film?
Not really. The vampire thing came because of the landscape of where I was and because of the place specifically. You know, when you go there and you start to meditate, why did I go there with no story in my head? I wanted to see the place and get in touch with it, like not only through my eyes, but also through my heart and through the energy of the place. So meditation had a great part in that. What could I see there? These vast landscapes with nothing. A deep, cold winter. People don't talk a lot there. And it's very Puritan, like a lot of sexual repression in the air. So all of that together gave the perfect ingredients to write a vampire story. It had to be with that because it was what the place was asking me.
Right.
Is that why you filmed the movie, like 99% of it in black and white?
The black and white, for me, is a declaration of intentions of the filmmaker. When you shoot something in black and white, you're saying, hey guys, this is not reality. This is a fantasy world. This is not what you see in real life.
Right.
So anything can happen.
Well, I love the black and white. Keith and I are both huge advocates of black and white film, be it in photography or in filmmaking. And I thought the imagery was particularly stark. One of the things that, and I mean that in a great way, there's this coldness, as you pointed out, to it. And yeah, a sense of repression. The fact that it was filmed in a small town as well, I think really helped heighten it. I was also very impressed with some of your filming technique in terms of the way objects were blocked, framed, for example. There's one scene where Art is on a swing, and he is perfectly center framed with the camera straight on him. And I remember the first thing that I thought, I mean, forget the fact that I already knew he had come to a somewhat sticky end. One thing that
We'll have to cut that out.
well, there was no other way to say it. One of the things that really got my attention, though, was that as I was watching, I kept thinking, well, okay, I already have a sense of unease. There's something that was very wrong in the scene, you know, that you were able to communicate through the way you filmed it in the black and white as well as the way you framed the shot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
If you see that in the cinema, in the theater with a 5.1 sound, then you're going to be very, very uneasy with that scene.
right. Because it's a really creepy scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the way that you use the black and white. As Ben said, I'm a big black and white film fan. I shoot black and white myself in still film. And
Oh, wow.
I think the black and white kind of brings the essence of a place or an object. It informs you of what the essence of that object or place is, where the color kind of distracts you.
Uh-huh.
So
You know, I was for 2 months with my iPhone in the mode of black and white when we were looking for places to shoot. Everything was seen in black and white, everything.
Yep.
And it really gives you a perception of, for me, of fantasy. Like the place becomes what you want it to be suddenly, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I love the references that you use to the original Dracula film.
Oh, thank you.
That was I didn't catch it at first, and then it was like they just started to pile up and pile up and pile up.
Yeah, the first one that kind of leapt out was when we're outside the gas station, and I saw the name Helsing, and then I had to stop and laugh. And then I started to notice, oh, wait a minute. Wait, Lucy, of course.
And Jonathan.
And Jonathan. I mean, it all kind of became like really, really obvious. And then the boss, Renfield. It's like, okay, yeah, well, wake up, Ben.
But that was really great.
Yeah, some cute nods there. So we've talked to other filmmakers that have been from different countries, and in many cases, their culture has helped to shape the way they film their stories, the way they tell their stories, and the way they present it on the screen. Has your background played any kind of role in the way you told your story?
Brazil is a very sensual country. I think we have a lot of sensual scenes in the film, but sensuality is present in vampire tales because vampire fairy tales are about sexual repression. So I don't know how much of my Brazilian culture is there. What I knew is that I could never shoot a vampire film in Brazil. Never. That's why when I got to IO, I said, wow, this is the place. Because Brazil, everybody talks to everybody. It's very Latin, you know? Like, I lived 11 years in Spain, in Madrid as well, and it was the same. I could never shoot a vampire story there. Like people talk to everybody, they are laughing, they go to parties,
Right.
And when I arrived there, I knew it was there. So maybe the sensuality of the scene could come from Brazilian roots, but all the other vampire films with female protagonists are kind of like that too, right?
Yeah, of sorts.
No, I had never really given that much thought because the majority of vampire films that I've seen have they've either been in the States or, although there is a Mexican version of Dracula that's supposed to be really outstanding that was filmed in the 1930s, so that needs to be seen. But yeah, most of them have been either American or British.
Hey, you guys didn't see the one of the Iranian director? Shit, A Girl Who Walks Alone at Night?
No,
No,
I
I've not seen that.
Interesting.
It's in black and white. You guys are gonna love that.
Interesting. We'll have to check that out.
I'll have to look for that one.
That's fascinating.
So now you've talked about how you got into filmmaking, but I get a sense that you've had a love for movies and filmmaking that goes further back. What was that spark? What was that thing that made you say, I think this is something I really want to do, even before you considered going into law?
Look, I have to tell you something. I had a very special grandmother. And while my parents were forbidding me of everything, my grandmother would allow me to do everything that I wanted.
I think that's what a grandparent's supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. But since I am 3 years old and we are locked inside a dark room away from my parents watching horror movies. And when you are like, since you're 3 years old, watching horror movies with your grandmother, your mind, I think it grows in a different way. It's like very fantastic because that becomes a part of you somehow.
Wow.
So thanks to my grandma, I think I'm directing vampire movies now and writing thrillers, or that's all I can do.
So it sounds like that this is, for the present time, this is your milieu. You want to go down the road of the horror film.
I wouldn't say horror, but thrillers are what I write. I can direct anything. I have worked for 2 years directing comedies in Spain, for example, for mobile content. But when I write, for me, it's very different. The writer part that one have than the director part. Director part is like you're going to a war. You have to remain calm, and you have to solve all the conflicts and make the actor shine. No, that's your job.
Right.
But the writer part, it's like the part where you expose your feelings and you expose what you think about the world. So when you're very fragile when you're writing. When I'm writing, the stories that come to me are connected with fear and the unknown. So that's why they are connected with fairy tales of horror or thrillers.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, well, they're coming from a very organic place then.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, well, that's probably why this and I don't want to say too much because the review has not come out, but I will go so far as to say this. Keith and I did like it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Well, when the review comes out, then there'll be the gushing, and all the points that we thought were really, really powerful. But in short, yes, we did like it a lot. It was very enjoyable to watch. But hearing where the story comes from, the manner in which you were able to draw it out of you, it makes me want to watch it yet again because it'll give me a new perspective as I see it. Because there was something that was enormously artistic about it, and at the same time, just unbelievably beautiful. I was very okay. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to spoil the review.
Hey, thank you. That's so beautiful to hear.
So do you have any other projects that are coming up? Anything that's...
Yes, I'm working. I'm very excited about this screenplay, the new screenplay I'm writing. Actually, when I went to Iowa, at first I wanted to write this story, but then the landscape of the place, as I said, connected to me and brought me a vampire film. So I changed there and I wrote another story, but I came back to this thing that I had in my head and I'm really excited about it. It's a thriller about a music school girl who connects with something that happened in the past. Wow. And with a mysterious woman who studies music in the same place. And the more the sound develops in her head, the more she has the feeling that something is wrong around her, and that might be connected to a crime and a murder scene.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. I would. I look forward to seeing that one.
Yeah, very
Is that
intrigued.
one going to be another black and white film? Do you think, or
I don't know it yet.
you
I
don't know?
it.
You have to figure that out whenever you get there, huh?
Yeah, I have to find the right location. When I see the location, then we're gonna know. What I do know is that music is gonna play a big part in
Right,
that,
right.
and that will be Bach in the soundtrack.
Oh, lovely. That can be very gothic.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Having the music of Bach as your soundtrack. Now, I'm glad Keith kind of brought up the whole question as to whether or not this your next project will be black and white. Because one of the things that I noticed while watching Lilith's Awakening that was very moments where it was extremely profound, and that were the few brief instances of color. And when those color moments took place, I kind of get the feeling that you were possibly making a statement about who was, all the colors seemed to be surrounded by Lucy. Either she saw it, or I know there's one phenomenal moment where her face is in color. So what was driving that?
That scene is when she has the first brief that she's alive. The problem with Lucy is that she's never herself in the beginning of the movie. She's completely flattered by the place she lives. She doesn't connect with anything that is around her. She's smashed against the floor, and it's not that the people that surround her are bad or anything. They are just who they are, and they live connected with the place they are. She's the one who doesn't connect. But the first time that she dares to go away from what's expected from her is in that moment in the car with Art. So after that, I think the color will bring the real state of mind of Lucy when the wind is touching her face and she's driving away from the first time that she breaks a rule in that society.
Interesting. So the color represents her awakening, if you will.
I wouldn't say the awakening itself, but I would say the first breath. The awakening will come further, no? I think the awakening is just before when she awakes after that scene, the creepy scene in the park.
Right.
And it will only be consumed in the last one when she flies away, no? With her different aspect.
Right.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
So, just to get a better sense of who you are, what were the kind of movies? I mean, you mentioned how your grandmother took you to see horror films. What were some of the movies that inspired you?
They are, for this particular film, I would say there is one film that I adore. That was not my grandma who showed me, and it's called Nadia. I don't know if you guys know this film. It's a black and white film produced by David Lynch. He was the executive producer of this film.
No, I'll have to look for that one.
It's a great film, Nadia. It's from 20 years ago. And the other one was the big hit with Catherine Deneuve, The Hunger.
Oh, I've heard of
yeah,
that one, yes.
The Hunger, yeah. That was the David Bowie film.
Yeah, I love that film too.
Yeah, it was a great film.
The films I used to watch with my grandmother are older, are those black and white films from the 50s. You know, those horror black and whites from the 50s, they are like more innocent. And I think it kind of, the influence is there a little bit in the cinematography of the film.
Is there, just out of curiosity, any titles that you might remember? Because as I was watching this, I kept thinking this is reminding me in some ways of movies that I have not seen since I was a child. Yeah, one of them was Nosferatu.
Oh, yes.
That's a fabulous movie.
Yeah. And even Frankenstein, the old Frankenstein from the 50s,
Right.
would kind of have that imaginary world. You know, the problem is that the titles I watch the films are in Portuguese, so I'm trying to translate them to English, and I have a hard time.
Right. Well, that's understandable. No, I just wanted to confirm what I had suspected, in that you're a film nerd.
I am. Oh yeah.
So tell us about the world premiere of your film. Tell us where it is, when it is, what's
I'm very,
going on,
very
and
excited
tell us all
about it.
about that.
It's gonna be on the Chinese Theater on June 11th at 11:45 p.m. We are gonna have a little concert before, a little, not a whole concert, it's only one music of being played Ave Maria by a soprano. Her name is Jamie Lee Wilson. She's from Australia. She's gonna be performing inside the Chinese Theater before the film starts. And after the film, there's gonna be a Q&A, and the actresses, our pop singer from Brazil, Barbara Eugenia, is gonna be there, and our protagonist, Sophia Woodward, as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We are also gonna count with the actress Eden West, who plays the policewoman in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be. They're gonna have a nice time.
Are you looking to get some kind of distribution for your film?
We are. We are. We are looking for that after the world premiere, and let's see who is gonna come with a nice contract to us. We would love that, of course.
Well, I can only wish you the best of luck on that, because as you know, I'll give my full thoughts when the review comes out on the day of the world premiere. But in short, yes, this is it's a good movie. I do recommend that people should see it. So for anybody who wants to learn more about you or learn more about the Lilith's Awakening, are you on the internet? I mean, do you have any social media presence?
Well, we have a webpage of the film, is lilithsawakening.com. About me, there is a webpage that is going to come next week. It's monicadimis.com. And we have Facebook of Lilith's Awakening. So you guys just have to look for Lilith's Awakening Facebook, and we are there. Lilith's Awakening, the film.
Fantastic. We'll make sure to let people know all about that when this episode goes out. Well, Monica, I just want to thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It was nice. It was nice talking to you. It was great talking to you, because now I want to see the movie again.
Oh, it's so nice of you.
Yes, well, thank you very much for being with us today. Obrigado.
Obrigada a vocês. Thank you.
Hi, this is Rusty Manuel, director of PJ, The Legends of Nathaya and Occupants, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
And everybody knows that's our birthday music. Here are a few selected birthdays for May 30th through June 5th, 2016. May 30th, Mark Shepard.
We met his daddy.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. We need to interview him.
Nice guy, yeah. We need to interview both of them.
Yes, we do.
That'd be nice. Mel Blanc on May 30th, and Cole Meany. May 31st, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I got 5 bullets. Or something like that. I don't know the line. I'm not a fan.
Also on May 31st, Peter Yarrow.
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. And Denham Elliott, who was, well, I won't say most famous, but his...
I think his big breakthrough role for most genre fans would be the Indiana Jones films.
Yeah, and then he came out like really late in life and then died.
Yeah.
So, anyway... Denham Elliott, May 32nd. Yes,
May 32nd.
May 32nd. June 1st, Marilyn Monroe. Morgan Freeman, Andy Griffith, whose house we flew over in
we're in North Carolina.
Yeah, we were in a biplane and he flew over Andy Griffith's compound. Also on June 1st, Tom Holland,
our young Spider-Man.
Yes, and Edward Woodward. Also on June 1st, Rene Auberjonois and Nelson Riddle.
Ooh.
Nelson Riddle was famous in the 50s and, 40s, 50s, and early 60s for the Nelson Riddle Orchestra.
Yes.
Specifically, one of the things that comes to mind is the I Dream of Jeannie.
That's right. That's very iconic.
Yes. And June 2nd, Wentworth Miller, Zachary Quinto, and Dana Carvey, as well as Marvin Hamlish, Johnny Weissmuller, and the guy that all graduates cannot graduate until they hear Sir Edward Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance.
Yeah, over and over
and over and over again.
Yes.
And again.
And again.
June 3rd, Anderson Cooper and Chuck Barris.
Oh, The Gong Show.
The Gong Show. And there's, some apocryphal stories about him being a CIA
He was CIA
agent or
assassin.
something, or some crazy
He
something.
was supposed to,
Who knows?
There's a movie about his life, and he was supposed to be a CIA assassin.
Oh, Lord.
Something like that. I know, it's just wild.
June 4th, Bruce Dern, Rosalind Russell.
Oh, Auntie Mame.
Yes, and Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
She's still kicking, too.
And Robert Merrill, a famous opera singer. June 5th, Kathleen Kennedy. And I put Kathleen Kennedy on here because she was a longtime producing partner for Steven Spielberg, and actually a woman that has made a name in the film industry.
She is now the president of Lucasfilm.
Yes, as a matter of fact. And I just wanted to say that because, we're really big on female industry leaders and up-and-coming female leaders.
And she really
as
made a
well
name
as
for herself,
individuals.
so
Absolutely.
God bless her for it.
Yep. Also, June 5th, Igor Stravinsky and Pancho Villa.
Should be Sancho Pancho Villa. No,
Sancho Villa.
that's an inside joke,
Yes.
people.
All right, that's it for the birthdays this time on TG Geeks.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Forget about whether Han shot first. He did. Is it true that Han Solo teamed up with a 6-foot green rabbit? Did Darth Vader profess a devotion to the immortal gods of the Sith? And did Leia's unhealthy attraction to her brother grow for years? Ew. Hi, I'm voice actor Michael Corley, and I want to answer these questions and more on the VoxBox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast. Each VoxBox episode covers classic Star Wars comics, starting with the original Marvel series in 1977 all the way to the present day. So tune in, have some fun, and may the Force be with you at VoxBoxPodcast.com.
Go give a listen to our friend Michael over at VoxBox Star Wars Podcast. And we have some feedback.
We have a
for you.
little bit of feedback. Now, we ran a story last week, very late last week, that talks about the new X-Men series that's going to be on FX. Right now, they've only commissioned a pilot called Legion. And we ran an article where the lead character, well, one of the lead characters, who's going to be played by Dan Stevens from Downton Abbey, he's supposed to be very, very messed up. He's supposed to have split personality issues and whatnot. Anyway, when we ran that story, good friend of the show, Mark Biaggi,
Hey,
chimed
Mark.
in and simply said, he had to give a little bit of, well, he just said, did I tell you guys I voiced Proteus in the Ultimate X-Men comics on DVD, early motion comics? In that, he was David and a combo of Legion and Proteus together. I think we did kind of cover your
Yeah,
resume a little bit.
talked
That does
about
sound a
that,
little bit
yeah.
familiar, but, it reminds me we need to get our hands on. I would love to hear that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we talked a little bit about last week how Paramount was dropping the lawsuit against Axanar, which Keith and I both pretty much voiced our support of. And if anybody is not familiar with that, the link for this story will be in our show notes. So, but in short, yes, Paramount, compliments of J.J. Abrams, has decided they're going to drop their lawsuit against Axanar, so hopefully that can move forward. In any case, we got a response from good friend Scott Linder, who simply wrote, "About freaking time! There should never have been a lawsuit filed to begin with." Agreed. But there was another opinion. That came from Crazy Joe, and he simply wrote, "Annoyed. They caused so much trouble, and now they're getting off easy. Spoiler alert, Axanar is on the damage report on the yet-to-be-released Megapodzilla number 106. So I reached out to Joe and I asked him, okay, so it was where did you fall? Did you side with Paramount or did you side with Axanar? He simply kind of inferred that he was on Paramount's side. Okay, well, as we said before, it was a very divisive issue. There were a number of people that fell into, one camp or the other. Will Wheaton was very much also in the camp of Paramount, so you're not alone on that, Joe. But that's not our only feedback. Apparently, we got something from a friend.
Yeah, so
a voicemail.
We're just going to play it right now.
Hey, it's the Bionic Geek. I was just finished the race of his life, what I believe is the season finale for Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell.
Yeah!
They just keep coming back to Flashpoint, don't they? I'm not complaining.
Yes.
But it should be interesting to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Also, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it just keeps getting better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that season, and we're going to do an episode later on where we're going to talk about season finales. But, yeah, you're right. As far as Flash goes, yes, they really do keep revisiting Flashpoint. I'm going to be very curious to see what they do next year. They're going to have to wrap up Flashpoint pretty quickly because if they're going to be doing a big 4-series crossover with Supergirl, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow, although, I don't know, maybe Legends of Tomorrow will be the means by which they actually remedy Flashpoint and bring Supergirl into the loop.
That could, wow, hadn't thought of that.
It just came to me right now. Maybe Legends of Tomorrow will be the ones who will actually rescue Flash and bring, restore the timeline. Just occurred to me. As for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., ooh, boy, can't argue with that one, man. That finale just blew me away, and we will talk about that in the future. Yeah. And that is all for feedback.
That's all for the feedback. Well, we want to hear from you. We certainly do.
Yes.
You are very important to us. We only know what you're feeling and how you feel about the show if you comment on our webpage or you comment on our episodes or you comment on Facebook or wherever else you can comment. Every
Twitter,
place.
Instagram, Google Plus. We're everywhere.
Google Plus. What's that?
Yeah, we actually have a presence there, believe it or not.
Well, only so we can have a YouTube presence. Anyway, not dissing Google Plus because there are
we have people following us there.
Yeah, we do.
Somebody just started. We got a new follower on Google.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So any place that you can follow or see us, you can comment. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you think, and please play nice. And we also have, as Roy Bionic Geek has shared with us a number of times, you can call our listener feedback line and we'll play your comment on air. 469-TG Geeks, that is 469-844-3357.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director-producer of Morning After.
And I'm Christian Hotko, writer and actor of Morning After. And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got a few things we want to go over really quickly here. Another story we ran last week, and this will be in our show notes at tggeeks.com for episode 75. There's a new international trailer for Independence Day Resurgence, or as we fondly like to call it, IDR. This trailer is epic. It is almost 5 minutes long.
Wow.
It's huge. So I would recommend, if you really want to know more about this, what you're going to be in store for, I would definitely check it out. It fills in a lot of gaps. We get some really good scenes, especially one with Jeff Goldblum. Got some really great stuff there. And just on a side note, there was a little clip that came out a couple of days ago. We don't have that. I wish we did. That shows Brent Spiner reprising his role as the one scientist from ID4. Dr. Oken. He comes out, and former President Whitmore takes a look at him and says, "Oh, you woke up."
Oh, dear.
Yeah, which kind of implies that he's been in a coma since ID4.
Wow.
And it's the events of IDR that woke him up. Well, explains why he's not dead. In any case, check out the link for IDR. Independence Day Resurgence. I think you'll really like it. It's a great trailer, and it's got me pretty excited. Another story that we will have on our show notes for, Carrie-Anne Moss. I'm glad she's got something to do after the whole Matrix films.
Oh, yeah.
She's found second life in Netflix. First,
Is she on Second Life? Is she? What's her character?
Jerry
you mean-
Hogarth. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm desperately looking for those stories. What's her name? Jerry Hogarth, the lawyer. Yeah, that's who she is in Second Life. She was introduced as Jerry Hogarth in Jessica Jones. That's the first time we meet her. She reprised her role in one episode of Daredevil, and apparently she's coming back again for Iron Fist.
Yay.
I haven't seen anything about her coming back for Luke Cage, but I would imagine that she's probably going to. Anyway, we have a story about how she will be in Iron Fist this coming, or whenever that season, or first season finally premieres. So I would recommend, if you want to know more about her continuing on with the MCU on Netflix, go check out this story in our show notes. Now, this came down a few days ago, and this one, wow, this is more DC fallout at Warner Brothers. They have a producer named Charles Roven. He's been part of the movie universe for the DC Comics, starting back with the Batman films that were under Christopher Nolan. And of course, there was a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of unhappiness about Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people really liked it. Crazy Joe loves that movie. Says it's one of the best movies of the season or this year. Other people did not care for it too much, and the movie underperformed. They were expecting it to break $1 billion like Civil War did, and it didn't. It only came in about $850 million. So there's a lot of shakeup going on right now, and Charles Roven has been moved. He was supposed to be producing a lot of these DC Universe films, and no, he's only going to be doing 2 more, it looks like. He will be producing, I believe, Justice League, and Flash and Aquaman. That's right, he will be producing Flash and Aquaman. That has been reported. But he's been moved to executive producer for a bunch of other things. So kind of have to wonder, are we looking at a reshaping of the DC Cinematic Universe?
It sounds like it.
Well, as has been said, dark and gritty, I think, may be on the way out. I mean, Jeff Jones, who's one of the creative control officers for DC and one of the big executive producers for the movies, he's gone on to say that now after the DC rebirth that's taking place in the comic books, that they are looking to do something that's a bit lighter. Yeah. So, light, bright, colorful, happy, optimistic.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if they want to go in that direction too, and I wouldn't mind that. Personally, that's just me, because Civil War, I think, is a great example about how a superhero movie could be done. That's just me. I'm sure other people have their own opinions. But anyway, if you want to read more about that, just check out the link for that news story in our show notes.
Yeah.
Now, we've got something coming up next week. It's a little thing. It's a little event.
The end of this week, actually.
The end of this week, yeah. As of when this episode comes out.
We're going to take off and drive downtown.
We're having a staycation.
Yeah. So we're going to be at the Hyatt across the street from the convention center starting Wednesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to be at Phoenix Comic-Con.
I'm really just
I'm excited
stoked
about it. Yeah. So we will have our room, and we're going to have our studio set up in our room, and we're going to have a little...
we might have a...
we're going to have a little hospitality area.
A little hospitality area. But, for people who come in who want to talk to us while we're there.
Yeah. So we're going to have, some beverages and snacks and stuff, and just a little spot in our room that kind of an oasis from the insanity.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing interviews, hopefully. Hopefully we'll have enough
hopefully we'll get some good content. I know that we will be interviewing again Russ Emanuel.
Yeah.
And
right
possibly anybody else who will be joining him for the Occupants premiere. We'll be doing a big sit down at the table, and I'm very excited about that.
Thursday night.
Yeah, that'll be Thursday night. I'm very excited about that because I love being able to actually sit down and just really let it all out, because we've been kind of holding back.
Yeah.
Because the premiere hasn't happened yet.
Talk about it.
Now I can really just deep geek on that movie.
Yeah. So we're going to do that, and I'm looking forward to possibly picking up some other interviews. Hey, it doesn't necessarily have to be celebrities. It can be guests. It can be people that have booths.
Yeah.
We have talked to all kinds of people at FanFest and Comic-Con and whatnot. So we are not opposed to that.
I have great hopes. There was somebody that we met at the Lowell Observatory last weekend. Her name is Ashlyn. She works there. She gives science lectures, and she's such a nerd. I love her.
And she has some great excitement about astronomy and all kinds of
and pop
geeky
culture
stuff and pop culture.
So and she told us that she was given tickets to come down to Comic-Con.
So
I'm really
hopefully we'll get a chance to see her.
she reaches out to us, because I would love to see her. I would love to be able to get her, this is going to sound really salacious and it's not meant to, but I would love to get her into the room so we can have a sit down and
into the
studio and have a great chat, because she has such energy.
Yeah.
We could just really have a load of content with her. She's fantastic.
And we're going to be there till we check out Monday, so we're going to be there through the duration. So we'll have probably Sunday night to do all kinds of
hopefully get to talk to some of the vendors,
well
maybe some guests.
Yeah,
and there's all sorts of events going on. I mean, we're going to be busy, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hanging out with people and just having a good time.
Absolutely.
Be exhausted when it's done, but that's okay too.
Yes, it is.
And of course, we always have a few follow-up items. We just want to talk about our calendar, and it's on our website, and we want to alert you to that. If you know of a film festival or a birthday or anything else, let us know. We'll put it on the calendar. And number 2, we've got, I think that campaign just finished.
By the time this episode comes out, yes, the campaign will have been over.
For Morning After, the film by Patricia Chica and Christian Hodko. But I think they have the flexible funding, so even after the campaign closes, I think they're going to still be accepting donations, shall we say, or partners with the film. But we've really become independent creator supporters.
As you can tell by our conversation with Monica earlier in this episode.
And we're going to talk about it. Phoenix Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is the end of this week if you're listening on Monday.
It's that close.
Yes, it is that close. And after that event, they're going to have more information on FanFest, which they've announced will be October 22nd and 23rd, downtown Phoenix at the Convention Center. Also, Halloween fans, Keen Halloween returns to Phoenix September 23rd and 24th at the Convention Center.
I got a funny feeling we're going to be at that too.
Yeah.
So we have to give a special acknowledgement to people who love to share our content. One of them, the Doctor Who Fancast Guide. Now that's put out by Doctor Who Talking Who, and you can find them by going to Twitter and looking up at Talking Who. And we also have a friend. He is known on Twitter as the Social Justice Scald, but we know him as Brian Weber. And he puts out something called the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. And to read the Post-Dispatch News, look for Social Justice Scald on Twitter. He is at Arkle. And he also has on Tumblr a very amusing little website called, or page I should say, called the Incorrect Star Trek Voyager Quotes. I would recommend reading it. It's a lot of fun, but do it in the privacy of your own life. Don't do it at work. Never a good thing at work.
Yeah, we want to give a special shout out to the Lookie Show, the twins, Sasha and Dagmar.
We love them.
We love them. They give us so much love on Twitter as at Lookie Show. And what are they? Who are they? Well, they have a YouTube show called Lookie Show, and they review old movies in kind of a campy little fashion. If you like really good reviews of movies, short reviews of movies, and kind of campy.
And it's all over the map.
Show for you.
Their movies are all over the map. There was a time where they were kind of doing like really offbeat films, but as I mentioned last episode, they did what I thought was a phenomenal review for Babette's Feast, and that's known to be a beautiful film. Yeah. So I love them, and they've threatened that they're going to do 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Must also give a special shout out to the Facebook group The Gay Geek, because, well, hey, we're gay, we're geeks, So naturally, we want to talk about the Gay Geek. It is an awesome page because they have really awesome people there that provide really awesome content. It's a great page. And hey, the person who heads it all, his name is Jeremiah Reeves. He's an awesome guy, and he has given his awesome blessing to post our awesome episodes. Have I said awesome enough? No.
Awesome.
He's awesome. The page is awesome. So, in fact, it's the most awesome, I will say, it's the most awesome page in all of Facebook. There,
In
I've said
awesome
it.
Facebook.
In awesome Facebook, yes.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Yes, and to read that awesome page, just go to facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek.
We want to give a big, huge, enormous thank you to whoever nominated us for the Parsec Award.
It's an awesome thank you.
It is an awesome thank you, yes. Parsec Awards are awarded every year at Dragon Con, and for more information about the Parsec Awards, go to parsecawards.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we want to give a little shout out about our Amazon ads. If you could click on an ad every once in a while, we run them at the bottom of the page of each article. You don't have to buy anything, just give a click every once in a while, and it shows Amazon that we're getting some traffic. And if you would like to buy something, you can do a search. All of our ads are searchable, so you can do a search and buy something through there, and we get a little kickback from that. Thank you for your consideration. Also, if you would please rate us on iTunes.
That's very important.
Very, very important.
Because
please,
the more ratings that we get on iTunes, the more our show kind of floats to the top anytime someone's doing a search.
Yeah.
And that, that means more people listening to us. And if we actually get, who knows what might happen when more people start listening to us, it might actually allow us to provide you better content, and I'm in terms of, if we have a lot of listeners, maybe some PR houses might say, these two gay geeks, they got something. Okay, here, how'd you like to interview this celebrity? So, the more people who review us positively and, give us a good rating, I think it just kind of benefits the show.
Yep. And before I forget, because I was an idiot and I didn't check our calendar, we have 2 birthdays this week that we don't want to forget. Facebook friend Neil Douglas.
Oh, of course.
On Saturday the 4th, June 4th, and on Sunday, June 5th, our good friend from the Mouse Castle Lounge, Mr. Tim Calloway.
Tim! Oh, absolutely. Happy birthday, Tim.
Yeah. So that should do it for all of our follow-up items. Well, up next time, maybe we'll have some highlights from Phoenix Comic-Con if I've gotten anything edited down and put together. We'll probably have a show, but who knows?
You're not quite sure what it will be. Yeah. It all depends on how much time we have to put that together.
Yeah. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have a number of links on the page to things we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.